Welcome to the first episode of English Out and About. In this video series, we will explore different places in the United States, and along the way, you will be learning English. So if you already know some English and you want to improve, then you are in the right place. My name is Jane, and I will be your guide. Mystery reporter Maggie, field reporter Francesca, and English teacher Tina make up the reporting team. Let's hit the road. I set off our idiom alert. I didn't mean to do that yet. Hit the road. Hit the road is an idiomatic expression. It means to start off on a journey or to leave. It doesn't actually mean to strike the pavement. For example, if I'm leaving, I might say, I'm going to hit the road. Or have you ever heard the expression, hit the road, Jack? You might use that if you really want someone to go. In each episode, I will share a common idiomatic expression. Now, I want you to be listening for hit the road in context during the rest of this episode. So more about today's episode. Let me tell you what's coming up. We are going to be traveling to the state of Maine. We'll be talking about Indigenous people's history, and we'll be practicing making comparisons. Now there's one more thing I want to tell you to make sure you're getting the most out of these episodes. We have prepared additional resources, some for students and some for teachers. Make sure you check the video description to find these links. Now it's time for me to send it over to English teacher Tina, who's going to take us through making comparisons. Over to you, Tina.
Hi everyone, I'm teacher Tina. I'm so happy to see you today. Do you know how to make comparisons in English? First, we need to think about two things that we want to compare. What are you thinking about? I'm thinking about comparing two cities. One city is smaller than another city. Smaller than. In English, when we are making comparisons using adjectives with one or two syllables, we add er than. Smaller than. One city is not just small, it's tiny. One city is tinier than another city. When we are making comparisons using adjectives that end in a y, we use IER than. Tinier than. One city is more populated than another city. More populated than. When we're comparing adjectives with three or more syllables or adverbs, we use more than or less than. More populated than, less populated than. Do you want to give it a try? All right, now it's your turn. Which comparative form would you use for the word quiet? Quiet. Quieter than, quietier than, more quiet than. Did you guess quieter than? Correct. Great job. All right, well, I know it's hard to count syllables and remember rules. So here's a rule of thumb. When the word is short, use er than. When the word is long, use more than, less than. And don't worry, this is something even native English speakers get confused about. That's it for now. See you later.
Thank you, Tina. And now we are going to hear from field reporter Francesca. As you listen, I want you to find the answers to these two questions. Why is there a town named Peru in the U.S. state of Maine? What famous Maine food does field reporter Francesca mention?
Hello and welcome to Peru, Maine. I am field reporter Francesca and I am thrilled to be starting off the Trek Across the USA tour. We are starting our tour of the United States in the easternmost state of the country. We are here in the town of Peru, Maine, which at first glance might not seem to have much in common with the country of Peru. Indeed, the town of Peru is less populated than the country. There are about 1,200 people living here in the town and about 30 million people in the country of Peru. Another difference is the size. The town is much, much smaller than the country in area. No surprise there, right? Also, Peru, Maine is colder than Peru, the country, in the wintertime. There are many obvious differences between Peru, Maine and Peru, the country, but these two places have more in common than what meets the eye. Both places were inhabited by indigenous people who lived in tribes with rich cultures and thriving communities. Here in Maine, some of the early inhabitants were the Wabanaki. In Peru, the Quechuan, Aymara, and Ashinka are some of the many indigenous tribes. Both groups have battled discrimination and marginalization of their cultures. Both places were colonized by European empires. Maine was colonized by the British and Peru by the Spaniards. Both places fought for and won their independence. And listen to this. In 1821, the people here decided to name their town Peru after the country Peru had just declared its independence. How cool is that? Not only do Maine and Peru share some common history, they also have something in common related to food. Gastronomy. It's one of my favorite subjects. Peru, the country, is famous for its seafood, especially the dish ceviche. Maine is also famous for its seafood, like clams, mussels, and oysters, but it is most famous for its lobster. Or as it is pronounced here, lobster. So here's an interesting tidbit. Lobster was once so abundant here that it was actually fed to prisoners. Imagine that. And now it's considered a fancy food. Time to hit the road. Well, this is field reporter Francesca signing off for now. So long, farewell, and happy trails.
Thank you, field reporter Francesca. Did you find the answers to the 2 comprehension questions? Why is there a town named Peru in the U.S. state of Maine? In 1821, the town of Peru was named after the country of Peru, which had just declared its independence from Spain. What famous Maine food did field reporter Francesca mention? Francesca mentioned several types of seafood that Maine is famous for: clams, mussels, and oysters. But its most famous food is lobster. Now, before we go back to English teacher Tina for some more practice, mystery reporter Maggie is here with a riddle for you. Take it away, Maggie.
Thanks, Jane, and welcome, viewers. I am mystery reporter Maggie, which is why I like to go incognito. I just heard you using comparative language, didn't I? Well, I have a riddle for you that uses some comparative language too. Are you ready for it? Here it is. Which is heavier, a ton of bricks or a ton of feathers? think about it. Heavier. Which weighs more? A ton of bricks or a ton of feathers? I'll give you a little think time. Are you ready for the answer? It's neither, because they both weigh the same. A ton of bricks and a ton of feathers both weigh a ton. Now, it would take fewer bricks to make a ton than feathers. And you might not know, but a ton is the equivalent of 907 kilos. So that's my riddle for today, but I'll be back next week with a mystery from somewhere in the world, because there are few things that I like more than a good mystery. Well, maybe accessories. See you next time.
Thanks, Maggie, for the riddle. Now we're headed back to the classroom with English teacher Tina.
Hey, welcome back. Now we are going to practice using comparatives with adverbs. An adverb is a word that describes an adjective or a verb. Can you think of an example of an adverb? I have one. Quickly. The girl ran quickly. Now we are going to make a comparative statement with two sentences. The girl ran quickly. She ran faster than the dog. The girl ran more quickly than the dog. Or the dog ran less quickly than the girl. Remember, whenever we are making comparative statements using adverbs, we always use more than or less than. More quickly than, less quickly than. Now it's your turn. Which form of the comparative would you use for the word frequently? Did you guess more frequently than? Correct! Ready for another one? Which comparative form would you use for the word interesting? Did you guess more interesting than? Correct! Wow, great work today. Thank you so much for joining me. This will be the end of our lesson. Until next time, back to you, Jane.
Thanks, Tina, for the practice. And thank you for joining us here for our very first episode of English Out and About. We're going to end this episode the way we plan to end all of them. For our last minute, we are going to show some images and facts about 5 U.S. states. This week, we are highlighting Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, and California. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you back here in 1 week for episode 2, where we're going to go to New York City, talk about immigration in U.S. history, and of course, share some more idiomatic expressions. Take care. I'll see you soon.